The people who walked in darkness have seen a great light. Every year in the Mass of Christmas night, these words resound in our churches. Isaiah, in chapter 9, verse 1, as other prophets before and after him, speaks a word of hope to God's people, that although we dwell in a land of deep shadow, a light, the light, comes to shine on us. We believe that Jesus, son of Miriam of Nazareth, is that promised light who has come into our world. As life itself plunges us into darkness in ways that we could never imagine and often think that we do not deserve, our annual celebration of Christmas makes us people of hope, no matter how dark or long the shadows are. What darkness have we seen this year? In what darkness have we been walking? Many of us can identify our personal darkness, some characteristic that we would not admit to anyone else, some failure to achieve that has left us uncertain and insecure, a medical diagnosis which has shocked us and left us scared, a family tragedy which leaves us very concerned for our loved ones. Into this darkness, the Lord promises to shed His light on those who dwell in a land of deep shadow. A light has shone. What light have you seen during this year and even during this Christmas season? Can we dare to speak of COVID the light? Our faith challenges us to believe that the cross finds its truest meaning in the hope of resurrection. As we faced our first COVID spike in August through November, what lessons did we learn as individuals and as a country? What light did COVID shine on our strengths and our weaknesses? We have a lot to be grateful for as we recognize that we came out of that spike more quickly than we had expected. 200 persons is too many to lose, but we could have lost a lot more. If we are to truly walk in the light, we must dare to look squarely at what we have been through. How did our church function over these weeks of anguish and pain, of cemeteries emptied of the supportive crowds, but full of corpses? How can we more deeply be inserted into our suffering community even when we are unable to gather for worship? How can we care more effectively for the most vulnerable among us? How can we find the courage and wisdom to be willing to lay down our lives when the moment seems to say, save your life first? Our leaders in every sector must look critically and honestly at our successes and our failures, and allow that light to guide us into better responses and less darkness if or when we face such a situation again. We praise and thank our healthcare professionals and essential service providers, but how do we provide better facilities and operating procedures for them next time around? Every Christmas, we pay a lot of attention to our children. Food, toys, and clothes are the order of the day. The poorest parent wants to be able to give something to their child. The darkness of the past year has left many of our children out of school for extended periods. We ask the Lord to shed His great light in our families, in our nation, so that we may clearly see the ways in which our school closure may have damaged some of our children. We have not even begun to consider the long-term consequences of these disruptions on our little ones. Preparation for examinations, and maybe rightly so, was given priority in the care of our children. We must now seek the wisdom to know what we must do for the rest of our school population when they return fully to our schools as environments for socialization as well as education. This Christmas, the Catholic Church in Grenada and throughout the world has begun a process of listening within the Church and to the wider world, in which we ask the Spirit of God to guide us through the challenges which we must face in this era. Great changes are upon us, even in our small Caribbean islands. We can all identify the things which threaten our existence. As we listen to one another in this synod process and to the Spirit, let us choose one area of life in which we can make our own contribution to creating the change that we need for Grenada, for ourselves. On behalf of the Catholic Church, I thank all those who have helped to create a better Grenada during this year, in their families, in the workplace, in our schools, our hospitals, our homes for senior citizens, in our public service. Many will have made a difference in ways that others will never see. May you be blessed beyond your own imaginings. May God continue, in the words of St. Paul to Titus, to purify a people so that it could be his very own, with no ambition except to do good. May God be with us in Grenada, Carriacou, and Petit Martinique as we face 2022. God bless you.